is Television Nigerian, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seats and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your number one choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NIGECOMSAT doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
Daybreak Africa, what makes it amazing? Is it the stories? Is it the wildlife? Is it the people? Daybreak Africa, news across Africa.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. This is Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria, and here you get the very best of information, entertainment, and you're enlightened to go into your day feeling ready. Okay, so there's so much going on in the news and everything. We always bring you information. I usually don't do this alone. Aisha Sali, who will be joining us shortly. But before that, I'd like us to talk a little bit about the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so by now you should know that you should wash your hands, sanitize as often as you can, and make sure you maintain social distancing. And if you do feel sick or down, make sure you definitely call the NCDC. That's a lot, and by now you should definitely know these details, but there's so many more. Make sure you're as informed so you do not make any mistakes, because fact is coronavirus is real and it's already ravaging most of the countries of the world. And at this juncture, I'd like us to move on very quickly to headline news, and we will be right back.
This is Television Nigerian.
Daybreak Africa. What makes it amazing? Is it the stories? Is it the wildlife? Is it the people? Daybreak Africa. News across Africa.
Television Nigerian. You can watch us on our Nice Concert platforms, and if you are not a fan of television, watch us on our social media platforms and our web TV, of course.
Don't miss it. Seriously, don't miss it. My job literally depends on it.
If you're just joining in, this is Daybreak Africa, reaching you live on television Nigerian. And earlier you saw Priscilla Ajeshola, and I'm here now. Good morning Africa, good morning Nigeria. It's still a sad one. We're talking about coronavirus ravaging the entire world. And now the president of the country has advised residents of Lagos and Abuja to stay indoors in a bid to curb the spread of the virus. Just yesterday, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, actually gave this advice where he asked our residents of Abuja and Lagos to stay indoors. Why? Because the virus is fast spreading in Nigeria. I don't know how you'd want to react to this, Priscilla.
Truth be told, coronavirus for the longest time, we've been talking about it, and particularly it's been in other parts of the world. And the truth is, now that it's here, we're all, still confused. I think a lot of people have not really grasped the whole situation. And then the fact that we're seeing, more and more cases in Lagos and Abuja, that's definitely a lot. And then the residents of Lagos are already staying indoors and all, but I think for Abuja, it's just, schools. Parents
Schools,
still go to work.
no. Actually, some parents have actually stopped going to work. Because I was on my way to work this morning, and then I realized how free the roads were.
I did. I noticed that the roads were very free, but the majority were still on the road. I just feel like because there were no school children and maybe a couple of people, there are actually some organizations that are already giving their staff the choice to work from home, and that's actually very, very good. I really respect that, because truth be told, if all the children are home and then parents go to work and then they get in contact with people that have the virus, and then they go home to their children, we're not curbing the spread. So it's important for everybody to stay indoors, right? It's very, very important. And at this point, everybody's already wearing face masks, washing their hands. I like the fact that everybody's, very, very aware. But I think if everybody adheres to staying indoors, that would definitely help curb the spread. Because we recorded one death yesterday, and it's very, very sad. Before now, we've been saying, okay, yes, we've not recorded any deaths, but it's finally happened, and we need to definitely, sit up. It's very, very important.
And then, according to the NCDC, just about 40 confirmed cases so far and one death, and it's indeed alarming.
Yes, it is. And the rate of the spread, because sometime last week we were recording like 2 or 3 cases, and then before you know it, now we've had close to 40. And then should be told, I'm still a little bit concerned because there's no testing. I think there should be more testing, because how can we ascertain how many people have the virus if we're not testing? Because should be told, it's people that call, the NCDC, or people that come from outside the country that have been, open to this testing, but they've gotten in contact with some other people. How about drivers or people they buy things from, people they hand notes to, people they pass on the road? You can never
And
tell.
it is very
So it's
pertinent that
important,
we make sure that we ensure hand washing and the use of our hand sanitizers.
Exactly.
Because you know how careless Nigerians can be. Although I actually noticed on my way to work, I noticed that some people were using gloves and some used face masks.
Yes.
And then and I think that culture of hand washing, using hand sanitizers, some Nigerians
especially most
getting used to
institutions,
it.
before you enter into the institution, they give you hand sanitizers, and I think that's very, very good. That's very, very helpful. And generally, people that go out, I advise them that when you get to your house, don't sit down, don't do anything, just go into the bathroom, take off all those clothes, put them in the wash, and just take a bath, make sure that you're clean, and then wash all the clothes and just clean. Yesterday when I got home, I was using the hand sanitizer to clean my phone, because I was like, my phone is the thing I'm scared of the most, because literally I touch it all the time.
And
So
apart
you should
from
be
your phone,
conscious.
what about the cash notes that we're always handling?
I don't touch money as long as I get to my house. Maybe I get to my house and I keep the money. I just don't touch it. I wash my hand and I just stay away from money. But you can't do that, because truth be told, you still need to get money, use the money to buy stuff to eat and all of that. So you definitely get in contact. So frequent hand washing and sanitizing is very, very key.
Right, and also some state governors have actually taken measures. Some states are shutting down, others are saying do not come to work, do not do this, do not do that, ensure, do not avoid public gatherings. And I think if we come together as one and we ensure that this virus, we help curb it, I think the spread would be reduced to the barest minimum.
Yes, it's very, very important, because at this point where we need to be more aware. We need to do as much as we can, because we don't need it to be, out of control. Now we're still recording very minimal cases, and not like places like Italy where they're recording mass deaths and a lot of people infected. But we're still in this place where we can do more, and
Even with the
prevent
fact that we
spread.
have 40 confirmed cases, I think the fact that the lots of Nigerians do not really go out for testing, because you may be running temperature, you're coughing, you're having symptoms of maybe bronchitis or something, it's
Exactly.
related to the symptoms of the coronavirus. And now you're not going for testing, or you're not self-isolating, or doing one thing or the other, precautionary measures, or calling the NCDC, calling their numbers to just so they're aware, and then they come get you to take you to the isolation center or something for testing. If we're not even going for testing, how do we know, okay, we have just 40 confirmed cases? What if there are other cases out there, suspected cases, I must say, that people are not aware of?
Exactly.
We get to meet people, we relate with people, but then we do not know whether these other people have these viruses without them knowing.
Yes, that's why I still advise social distancing is very, very important. Don't get too close. Don't hug anybody. Don't shake hands. Just, respect the times. It's the times right now. Just because you didn't hug somebody or shake somebody doesn't mean you don't respect or like the person. So let's just, adhere to social distancing. It's very, very key.
Well, we cannot talk about everything cannot be about Nigeria. We'll have to move over to news across Africa, where we'll get details of what's happening in and around the continent of Africa. Stay with us.
Hello, here's some news update across Africa. Africa has recorded more than 1,000 cases of the novel coronavirus, the continent's Center for Disease Control announced, adding that 108 patients have recovered after contracting the virus. Schools and public gatherings have been suspended, and visits by family members to prisoners to all correctional facilities have also been brought to a halt. Economists say there are little doubt that countries are headed into recession because of the coronavirus pandemic, with businesses shutting down. Algeria protesters have called off their weekly anti-government demonstrations for the first time in more than a year to reduce the spread of coronavirus. Authorities banned the demonstration, and opposition activists also urged supporters to stay inside. There have been at least 10 deaths and 90 confirmed virus cases in Algeria. Imprisoned activist Karim Tauba was among the protest leaders who told demonstrators to suspend their marches. The protest began in February 2019 after the then president, Abdulaziz Bouteflika, announced he was going to seek a fifth term in office. United Nations World Happiness Index report shows that South Sudan, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and the Central African Republic are among the unhappiest countries in the world. Nordic countries make up 4 of the top 5 places, with the authors saying the happiest places are those where people feel a sense of belonging and trust their fellow citizens and institutions. The researchers asked people around the world to assess their own levels of happiness, as well as taking account of factors such as national income and levels of corruption. Finland has been named the world's happiest country for the 3rd year running. This year's report was compiled before the coronavirus pandemic. A South African government minister has apologized after a video of her complaining about measures introduced to curb the spread of the coronavirus was shared online.
Stay at home if you can. I'm finding it difficult to stay at home. Virus, just go away. Please leave us alone. We have a life to live.
Several people on social media condemned Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu and suggested that she should be sanctioned. The minister said she did not mean to undermine the severity of the virus, adding that she supported the measures introduced by government to curb the spread. South Africa has 240 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Last week, President Cyril Ramaphosa declared a state of disaster, restricting travel, closing schools, banning mass gatherings, and ordering bars to close or limit numbers to 50. That's the much we have for you on news across Africa. Many thanks for watching. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Well, that was news across Africa. And then one particular story that got my attention there is that of the South African story. Why would the woman just go on the street and then say she can't be forced to stay at home?
She can stay at home, but she can't. Well, I think it was probably a joke, but you don't joke like that.
You
Especially if
don't.
you're a minister.
Right.
You need to
You're
just
a
respect yourself.
public official, and you don't just
Exactly.
go on the streets and make videos. What are you telling the lots of South Africans?
Exactly.
Well, as always, we're encouraging social distancing and
Exactly.
also self-isolation. Just
Yes.
stay home. Well, I
Stay
think
home.
we could actually use our own advice.
Yes, we should take our. Well, if we stay home, how do we
How do we inform you? Okay, so bringing it back to Nigeria now. The country has recorded 4 new cases of the novel coronavirus COVID-19. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has said. It said this brings the total number of infected persons in Nigeria to 40 as of 11 p.m. on Monday night. NCDC confirmed this in a Monday night tweet. Well, that's actually sad.
That's
4
very,
new
very
cases.
sad. Yeah, 4 new cases. I'm not certain whether it's in Abuja or in Lagos, because now we're shuttling between Abuja and Lagos. Cases in Abuja and Lagos. Us Abuja residents, for the longest time, we were like, Lagos residents should stay in Lagos. And now it's right
I
here.
remember when it just came into Lagos,
Lagos,
we were
yeah.
all like, okay, Lagos people, try and contain it.
Exactly,
Don't let it come here.
yeah.
But then, look at it's in Abuja, staring us in our faces.
Staring us in our faces, and the hardest thing is you can't even see you. Even when you see somebody walking past you can't know who has coronavirus. So literally everybody, even your best friend, is definitely somebody that you should stay away from. So stay away from everybody. And it's definitely hard, especially people that are very social, like myself. I like to hang out with friends and things like that. I think it's going to be very hard, but it's important right now because there's nothing more important than life. And the fact is, even if you get the coronavirus and you don't, suffer that much, or, you don't end up, losing your life. There's other people that you transmit it to that would, actually have worse effects, especially people that have underlying health conditions.
Right.
So
it
it's
was
important
even
to
more scary when the fact that even not just the poor people, it's the rich people,
Exactly.
the elites that are actually contracting this virus.
Yeah.
You'd recall on Sunday night, Atiku Abubakar,
Sunday.
the former vice president of the country, and also the former and also presidential candidate under the People's Democratic Party, he came out to say his son had contracted the virus, and then we craved a bit.
Exactly.
Because according to some reports that I
Yeah.
saw yesterday, his son has been to lots of events.
Yes,
right?
even a club in Abuja.
He went to a
And
club in
then
Abuja.
People were like,
He attended
okay.
the Jumu'ah prayer on Friday. He went to Oyo State for a rally, and then he has been moving about the whole
And he has
place.
gotten in contact with
Lots of people.
And that is something.
That is indeed something. Even though yesterday his wife and his children tested negative, I saw the reports in the news yesterday that his wife and the children tested negative. But then, what about other people that he has come in contact
Yeah,
with?
that's
Although
why-
he has been put into the isolation center in Gwagwalada as well. But then my point is, what about all of the other people he has
I'm
come
still
in touch
saying
with?
we should do more testing. If we're doing as much testing, then we can actually be certain that these are the only cases we have. At this point, we cannot say for sure that we only have 40 cases in Nigeria.
Even though the NCDC is saying we have just 40, but we cannot say for sure.
Because
What
we're not
about the
testing.
suspected cases?
Exactly.
We're not encouraging testing. We're just saying, okay, self-isolate, maybe after 14 days or something, just stay in your house. What about the people you've come in touch with before you decided to stay at home?
Exactly.
What happens?
Yeah,
and then you know how these viruses, although it's not airborne, but then if you have it in your hands and then your hands come in touch with your eyes, your nose, or your mouth, any opening in your body at all, you've passed it into the system.
Exactly, and it's actually very scary because there's so many people that cannot stay away from touching their faces. I'm one of those people. I touch my face a lot. Especially when I do my makeup, and all of that. So yes, it's very hard to stay, to not touch your face. So there's so much. So that's why we just have to be very, very careful at this point, right?
Okay, so that's Abuja, right? Let us go over to Lagos State again. The chairman of the Lagos State chapter of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, Muliu Ayinde Akinsoya, aka MC Olomo, has issued a warning to transport operators, union branches, and motor parks to adhere strictly to the guidelines for transport operators that was issued by the Lagos State government. And then these guidelines include the provision of hand sanitizers and running water and soap at all motor parks, the use of gloves and face masks by drivers and conductors, the provision of infrared thermometers, and that these thermometers should be used to check the temperature of passengers before boarding, carrying only 2 passengers per seat. Well, MC Oluomo is coming out to stress these measures again. And I feel it's actually right for him to do these, because especially in Lagos, I saw videos yesterday. As much as the federal government and even the state government is encouraging stay-at-home policies, stay at home, and do not encourage public, and they are not encouraging public gatherings, right? We saw it yesterday that the lots of Lagosians, most of them were still out. Although the roads were a bit free, but people were still in the marketplaces. You cannot really ban people from going to the
Aisha,
market.
think about it. There's people that if they don't leave their house and go out to work,
They don't
will
get
not
money.
eat.
They will not eat.
So imagine them staying at home. Not everybody. I think a lot of people, people with well-paying jobs, celebrities, and people like that. I saw online, most of them were home. That's because you have the resources. But
This
I
now
don't
brings
think
me
we
back
have
to
an
what-
enabling environment
Right.
enough for self-isolation.
Right.
Because even apart from the fact that, okay, yes, we're isolating ourselves. The way Nigeria is structured, I don't know if this self-isolation thing works. That's why, personally, I feel like if you've seen any symptoms, don't isolate, just call the NCDC.
Right.
Because it's not...
This
how
now
are you
even
going
brings
to
me
handle
to the
yourself?
point where Beverly Naya was saying yesterday, the Nigerian actress. She said she did react to a tweet on Twitter, and then she said, if the government is encouraging stay-at-home policy, what about the average Nigerians who just go on the street and then make their monies and they're able to feed and stuff like that? How do they feed? this brings me to the point you were making earlier. How do they feed? Okay, if you're saying stay at home, what other measures have you put in place?
Exactly.
Have you provided food? We some governments, British government, Canadian government, they are providing foods, they're providing relief care and everything for people. But then what is the Nigerian government doing? They're just asking us to stay at home, self-isolate, just stay at home. Okay, if you're staying at home and you do not have food to feed, you do not have water to drink, there's no electricity, how do you survive?
How do you survive? It's very important. It's important for us to be conscious and aware. Yes, it's important for us to, take, heed to these safety measures. But what is the government doing to help the citizens? I mean, there's how much you can do. At some point, you definitely be tempted to go out when you don't have food to eat, or your children are hungry or whatever. So yes, it's important, especially people that do menial jobs. They need to go out to earn that money. Nobody's going to pay a house girl that does not come to clean the house.
Because if you have an employer, if you're not doing your job, how do you expect them to pay you?
Yes, so some organizations will still pay their staff, big companies and all of that, because okay, yes, you're working for the company over time, yes, you can still come back to work and pay back or whatever. But imagine having like a house girl or a gardener or a gate man and he says he's not coming to work.
And back to what MC Oluomo was saying, I also saw in the news yesterday some conductors, you know how this yellow buses in Lagos State, the conductors were distributing, I think they didn't really have hand sanitizers in place, but they were distributing alcohol. Is it ogogoro that they call it now? They're distributing it in form of if you must enter my bus, you have to use it. Sanitize your hands. I think hand sanitizers, they are alcohol based too. Exactly. So I think maybe the conductor just used took the initiative. Like, okay, since I don't have hand sanitizer.
A lot of people are taking a lot of initiatives. Some people are drinking a lot these days, claiming that they're protecting themselves against coronavirus.
Apart from drinking, some of the reports that made the rounds over the weekend was that of a man, just because of what the American President Donald Trump said regarding chloroquine tablets and then its injection. A man actually bought these drugs and he took it. I saw that on Twitter. He took it. He didn't just take it alone. He gave his children too. And some people, unfortunately, he was rushed to the hospital because of a case of an overdose. So my point now is, if we're not even very careful, nobody has said chloroquine is a treatment for coronavirus. So how come you're buying chloroquine and giving it to your children?
Yeah, I mean, there's no prescription you get, so you don't know. Okay, if you have coronavirus, just go to the authorities necessary. You don't try to treat yourself, because there are other things that what if chloroquine just helps a part of the virus. So if there's still other parts that they need to there's other drugs they didn't need to give you. So it's important.
But another funny thing that caught my attention yesterday is the recoveries. You'd recall I heard from some sources that for a couple of days now in Wuhan, China, the very place this virus started from, they're going about their normal lives already. And then I'm wondering, okay, if they got the cure or antidote for this virus, how come the rest of the world is not aware?
We've been told that people actually make recoveries from coronavirus, especially if you have a very, very good immune system.
Right.
So I'm guessing that's probably it. Maybe a lot of people have been recovering and they've been able to, they were the ones that were hit first. Maybe they've actually been able to handle it, and now they have, all the people that are infected in isolation and all of that. Maybe everybody else is fine.
The funny thing about this virus is that Italy is worst hit, Spain is worst hit, and then I'm wondering, the virus started in China. Viruses are indeed funny.
Exactly.
How they spread really fast, and then it now looks as if China that it started in China,
it's now
right?
like
it's
one
now
of the least affected areas, because we've been seeing a lot of deaths from Italy and all of that. I don't know. I just think Nigeria should take a cue from Italy. I mean, if Italy can get to that place where they're recording so much deaths, then we should know that we should not take this lightly.
I think we're not taking it lightly, because a lot of our agencies, departments, ministries, even the federal government has taken giant strides, asking civil servants, some of them, to stay at home.
Yeah.
Just stay at home. Don't come out before you now have to contract the virus or you're spreading it.
It's very important, especially if you have kids. Just stay at home. Stay at home.
And then
with your
speaking
kids.
of our government taking measures, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Justice Tanko Mohammed, has ordered all courts in the country to shut to shut down from Tuesday. The CJN, in a statement issued on the official website of the National Judicial Council (NJC), said the measure became necessary in view of the reality of the COVID-19 in the country. Okay, and that's the judiciary. I was actually my sister is a barrister. So on my way to work this morning, I actually heard from her. I spoke to her and I was wondering, okay, so now that your courtrooms have been shut down, how are you going to go about it? So does it mean that means it's affecting everybody now?
Yes, everybody. It's even affecting the economy,
Right.
oil prices, so much. And the truth is, coronavirus is affecting every part of the world, and then that just goes to show how strong this is. And that's why the world should, gather together and find a way, to just curb this and just handle it. It's necessary. It's very, very important.
The one major thing that is one interesting about this whole coronavirus thing is how, some people will tell you most evil or any evil at all has some good part of it. This coronavirus, so according to some testimonies by some families, I saw a video making the rounds on Instagram yesterday over the weekend. And then the woman was like, before now, her husband doesn't stay at home. Before now, her husband always says, I have business meetings, I have this, I have that to go to, I have to travel. But now the husband is at home. So the marriage is finding its way to working. Do you get? Before now, maybe the marriage was going south because the husband was not always around. But coronavirus, the spread and the fear of coronavirus has impacted that marriage. Right. And apart from that, even family ties. Before now, okay, maybe you get so lost in your business, your work, you do not keep in touch with people. But now you see people calling, oh, are you fine? Are you okay? Are you this? Are you that? I'm not saying the virus is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing.
There's definitely some, positives.
Right. Positives to it.
Yeah.
Because if you've been neglecting some areas before, you're now very conscious.
Yeah.
Because, anybody can die at any
And some
time.
people are workaholics. They just need time to rest. The truth is, at this point, even if the government does not generally stop people from going to work, I'm sure in a few days some people will take the initiative and stay in their houses, even if their organizations do not give them, because the truth is, life is more important. And then I like the fact that some people are actually finding ways to, make do with this time at home, finding ways to build family bonds and all of that. It's definitely very, very important.
And the fact that international flights have been banned, and apart from international flight, the federal government has also announced the closure of all land borders for 4 weeks as a measure to check the spread of coronavirus. The weekly Federal Executive Council has also been suspended until further notice. A lot of things have been happening in the news. If a Federal Executive Council meeting is suspended, then our borders have been shut. I think Nigeria is really taking drastic measures.
So much is
But if you
happening.
ask me, I feel all of these measures should have come up before now,
Earlier.
right? Earlier, you'd recall on this program, I kept on hammering on it that how come the federal government and also the Federal Minister of Health, especially the Minister of Health, always come out to say he was not really addressing the issue of whenever Nigerians raise the issue of, okay, how come when our borders are not shut, although our borders are shut to rice, well, they're not shut to people coming into the country, especially as we know that World Health Organization has declared coronavirus as a pandemic, right? And then our borders were still open, our airports were still open. We allowed local flights and international flights. But now that it's in the country staring us in our faces, all of these are now put in place.
Now we're doing medicine after death.
Right.
Because now we have the virus in our country. And a country like Nigeria, where people get in contact with each other, where people move around, there's people that literally, they're in Abuja for one night, they're in Ogun State for the other night, they're in Ibadan for the other night. So we've now exposed ourselves to the virus. Okay, so if we had, taking, all these drastic measures at the beginning, imagine if before we even had any cases of the virus, all our borders were shut down.
This whole medicine after death is not working.
It would have been
for us.
perfect. By now we would, be celebrating and feel like, okay, yes.
Okay, by now we would have even said maybe we're the only African country who's not hit. Do you get? But now the reverse is the case.
I don't know. I don't like the fact that we had to wait till this point. But let's just make sure that we're doing the right things now.
And we should also call on the government to come to the aid of the people. If the government is asking us to stay at home policy, self-isolate, do not do this, do not go about before you contract the virus or spread the virus, as measures, part of the measures to curb the spread of the virus. How come? Why is the government not paying attention to? Okay, if you're asking these people to stay at home, what are you providing for them? What are you providing for them? Are you providing food? Are you providing shelter? Because some people do not even have places to stay.
Exactly.
Are you providing water? Is there going to be stable electricity? I think there's a whole
And
lot.
now that we are seeing that there are a lot of deaths, all over the world, we should be conscious. And the truth is, I think religious leaders should encourage people not to go to church and mosques.
Although in the Federal Capital Territory here, the National Mosque, I saw in the news yesterday for the prayers, Jumat prayers, I think for now. It's
Yeah,
been
but there's still
cancelled.
some churches
and even
that
the
are
daily
still
prayers too.
convening.
Everyone should just stay at home.
Yes,
and
even on
pray.
Sunday, I noticed a lot of churches were still convening. Still, we're telling you, stay home. Don't avoid being in being
Populated
crowded
places.
and in crowded places and all of that. And there's people, religious leaders are still
They're
asking
asking
people to
their
come
people
to church.
right.
I remember on Sunday, even Winners Chapel, in Lagos, I think it was Otade, actually convened.
Canaan Land.
So many people in church, and they say that they were, trying to get their members, more acquainted to some of,
Yeah,
the
that's
ways
the
to
excuse
prevent.
most of these
But
pastors
that-
are
I don't-
giving.
I don't
You'd
agree.
recall on the
I don't
news, even
agree.
before Sunday, Pastor Fatoyinbo of Koza also on his social media platform asked people to come to church. Although the church service didn't later hold, because police, we also saw in the news that Abuja police here, they were in front of the church, so that just so people do not come to the church.
I saw videos of policemen beating up people that were having church services, and I don't know if it was in Nigeria, but I think religious leaders, you guys know how much Nigerians as people, how much we respect the religious institution. So I think that should be it. But even Khan has come out to say people should just stay in their houses, If you need to worship God, you can worship God
From
on your own.
anywhere.
It does not have to be, in that church.
As much as
environment.
this whole thing is hitting us really hard, we're not prepared. We're not ready for this. But it has come, and it's as if it has come to stay. We're only hoping that the cure is found soon, and then it goes eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
But then asking people to stay at home is one thing that people cannot really take down. Do you get? Because some people are used to going out. Some people, like you said, some people are workaholics. They do not know how to stay indoors.
Yeah, some people will lose their mind if we stay home a whole week. Some people will definitely lose their minds, and then I think some people will really enjoy it. Lazy people like me, we would love staying home.
Okay, I think we're talking so much about coronavirus,
Exactly.
right? Well,
So much is definitely happening, and at this point, we're moving on. We're still talking on all things health, living a healthy life, and at this point, we're moving on to healthy living. There's always so much happening, and we're always talking, but healthy living always gives us a good dose of health tips, and this one is about, bad breath. So let's find out what this is. Stay tuned. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Hello and thanks for joining us on Healthy Living on Daybreak Africa. And today we shall be discussing on the causes of bad breath. Bad breath is a common problem that can cause significant psychological distress. There are a number of potential causes and treatment available. Anyone can suffer from bad breath. It is estimated that 1 in 4 people have had bad breath on a regular basis. Halitosis is the third most common reason that people seek dental care after tooth decay and gum diseases. Simple home remedies and lifestyle changes such as improved dental hygiene and quitting smoking can often remove the issue. If bad breath persists, however, it is advisable to visit a doctor to check for underlying causes. There are some treatments for bad breath. It is recommended that individuals visit the dentist for a checkup and cleaning twice a year. The dentist may recommend a toothpaste that includes an antibacterial agent or antibacterial mouthwash. Alternatively, if gum disease is present, professional cleaning may be necessary to clear out the buildup of bacteria in pockets between the gums and the teeth. There are some causes of bad breath. Tobacco products cause their own type of mouth odor. Additionally, they increase the chances of gum disease, which can also cause bad breath. The breakdown of food particles stuck in the teeth can cause odors. Some foods, such as onions and garlic, can also cause bad breath. After they are digested, their breakdown products are carried into the blood to the lungs, where they can affect the breath. Saliva naturally cleans the mouth. If the mouth is naturally dry or dried due to a specific disease, odors can build up. Brushing and flossing ensure the removal of small particles of food that can build up and slowly break down, producing odor. Fasting and low carbohydrates eating programs can produce halitosis. This is due to the breakdown of fat producing chemicals called ketones. Certain medications can reduce saliva and therefore increase odors. Other drugs can produce odors as they break down and release chemicals in the breath. Bad breath can be caused if they have a foreign body load in their nasal cavity, especially in children. But not to worry, there are remedies for mouth odor. Be sure to brush twice a day, probably after each meal. Flossing reduces the buildup of food particles and plaque from between the teeth. Brushing only cleans around 60% of the surface of the tooth. Anything that goes into your mouth, including dentures, a bridge, or a mouth guard, should be cleaned as recommended on a daily basis. Cleaning prevents the bacteria from building up and being transferred back into the mouth. Changing toothbrush every 2 to 3 months is also important for similar reasons. Bacteria, food, and dead cells commonly build on the tongue, especially in smokers or those with a particular dry mouth. A tongue scraper can be sometimes useful. Drink plenty of water. Avoid alcohol and tobacco, both of which dehydrate the mouth. Chewing gum or sucking a sweet, preferably sugar-free, can help stimulate the production of saliva. Avoid onions, garlic, and spicy food. Sugary foods are also linked to bad breath. Reduce coffee and alcohol consumption. Eating a breakfast that includes raw food can help clean the back of the tongue. If breath odor persists despite controlling these factors, it is recommended that an individual visit a doctor for further tests to rule out other conditions. And that's what we have for you today on Healthy Living on Daybreak Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa, and that definitely got me. Personally, I can't deal with bad breath.
I was going to ask you, what's your deal breaker in a relationship?
Bad breath is one of my deal breakers. And then there's body odor. Wow. Can't deal. Just stay away from me if you have any of those.
But then, on a more serious note, I think people should try so hard to work so hard, right? People should work very hard in maintaining personal hygiene, especially your mouth. This is one part of the body where everything, your buccal cavity, everything is going in. You're eating and you do not take care of it.
Yeah, I think some people are more prone to mouth odor than others. And if you notice that you are, brush twice a day.
Change your toothbrushes.
Get something for your breath. Just make a conscious effort. But some people are so
mouthwash or something.
Yeah, some people are so lax about it. Some people even have mouth sprays. Just once in a while, just spray your mouth, or chew gum once in a while when you notice. Okay,
there are bacteria and germs in the mouth.
But there's people that have these problems and they don't care. And don't make us get to a point where we're being rude to you, please. Just respect yourself. And now our street crate is on the effects that coronavirus has had on Nigerian churches, or the effects it is having on Nigerian churches. So let's get to that and we will be right back.
think so.
Yes, it's a spiritual issue.
It will be an insult to Christianity for coronavirus to shut down any church in this nation.
Do you think coronavirus is spiritual?
Like the name implies, coronavirus. It's a virus and it's infecting people everywhere. There's nothing spiritual about it. It's a virus that is spreading like an outbreak, just like you have every other type of flu and all that. It's a virus, a very little one at that, and it's affecting people. Nothing spiritual about it.
Okay. Why do you think God allowed it to affect both Christian, rich, and poor?
The virus, of course, is a sickness that is spreading, or more like a plague that some people will call it. That's what it is. God did not allow it as such. No, it's a plague. It's a flu. It's a disease, for God's sake. It's affecting almost everybody. Just like the sun shines on everybody and then rain falls on everybody. Some people use umbrella, some people don't, and they get wet. That's just what it is.
So you mean God is not aware of it?
God is not, people are praying to God about it. That's all I can say about that.
Okay. Should federal government of Nigeria ban religious activities just like all other African countries have done?
I think it's good to, what they call it is social distancing. I think it's good to practice isolation so as to reduce the spread of this virus. It's not banning as such, but it's to have control, over the outspread. And in gatherings where people gather, it's easier to transmit this virus from person to person. I don't see it as an attack on the church. It's just a form of caution, in my opinion.
Well, not really, but we should just follow the cautions given by the government. That's all I can say for now.
What's the difference between church today and church the other days?
The population has really reduced. Now, on the norm, the population in church is usually more than this. But today's service, we had few people.
In the church?
Yes.
So you mean today, the population didn't attend like before?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. What is the name?
Gloria is the name, please.
My name is Rose Daburu.
Okay. Do you think coronavirus is spiritual?
Yes, I think so.
I think so.
Because I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that everything you see in the physical has its spiritual background. And I also believe in what is written in the Bible. So when the Bible says that a time will come, there will be so many pestilence, diseases and sicknesses. So it's fulfillment of the Bible and it's spiritual to me.
Why do you think it affects both Christian, rich and poor?
Because it's just like the sun. It shines on everybody. So when such things comes, is to bring fear on everybody. And it's meant on attacking the faith or the belief in individual, which is geared towards instilling fear in people.
Okay, should federal government of Nigeria ban church activities or?
Individual, I believe, is spiritual. Federal governments believe in what they see physically. So I want to balance it now. The federal government might not be seeing it as spiritual as I'm saying. So instead of concentrating on maybe, okay, apart from actually taking hygienic habits and doing what you need to do, we need to also pray for God's intervention. They will just see that you should stop or ban this and that. Of course, to me, I still see it as okay because they are acting according to their belief. It's just that what I will now say is that we still, as Christians, if federal government brings it up, we know the secret. So we should still pray, even as we obey authority.
We found out that Dunamis is held as usual today.
Yes, it held as usual.
What are the measures they took today to prevent the spread today in church?
All right, today's service, in the three services, the pastor was found. It's to me, I see it as coronavirus cannot prevent the church of Christianity for coronavirus to shut down any church in this nation, not when Dunamis is involved and not when we the Christians are involved also.
Do you think coronavirus is spiritual?
Well, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Should federal government ban religious activities just like other African countries?
No, they should not, because the knowledge of what is already around is affecting persons, like negatively. A lot of fear in the atmosphere, and I think that people should be allowed to freely come and worship.
Well, that's definitely churches in Nigeria. That was on Sunday. Some people still went ahead and went for church services.
No, but I think it's wrong. Are we encouraging people not to adhere to when the government, gives out instructions? The government already instructed that people should not convene, especially churches that have over 50 members. So I think it's wrong that, because let's say within the church premises, let's say they use hand sanitizers, whatever. What about while they are going away? People still get into contact with each other, different things.
One thing that caught my attention there is how people are trying to relate it to the spiritual realm. As much as we know that this is God working, right? And then some people are saying we have defeated coronavirus for thousands of years ago, so the coronavirus shouldn't stop any religious activity. Nobody is asking you not to go about your religious activities,
and I would say
do it in your house.
Personally, I would say a part of the Bible says faith without works is useless. So if you have faith, then work. Make a conscious effort. Do the right thing. Don't test God by not doing the right thing and then saying, yes, we have what's the word he used?
That we have defeated coronavirus. How did we defeat it? Who defeated it?
Pray to God. Make sure you are careful as well. Do the right thing. It's very important to do the right thing.
Right. I don't know why people do not understand where religion comes in when we're talking about all of these issues, right? Religion is one thing, and then health is another thing. Religion does not advise you to go ahead and put yourself at arm's way because you want to worship God. God is everywhere. As a matter of fact, you can worship God from anywhere at all. You can just stay in your house and worship God. And if you feel the need that you must go to church, why don't you wait till this whole virus has been cured? This whole outbreak.
Just this time is not going to destroy your faith, or it's not going to kill, your relationship with God. I even think while you're at home, you can pray as much as you want. You can seek God's face. You can, read your Bibles. There's so much to do, but let's not just, be stubborn and try to be unnecessarily difficult. Let's just do what we're supposed to do.
Well, we're still talking about coronavirus and the effect of coronavirus so far. And then you know, even without being told, you know that this coronavirus outbreak must have affected lots of businesses in Abuja here, and not just in Abuja, in the country. Stay with us. Chinwendu Osisyogo has a report on the effect of coronavirus in the country regarding the businesses. Stay with us.
With the recent outbreak of coronavirus pandemic in the country, a whole lot of businesses are apparently going down, considering the fact that people have been advised to maintain social distancing. Now I'm on the street of Abuja. Looking around the street, we realize that the street is not busy as it used to be. But I'm on the streets to get the views of businessmen and women on how this coronavirus pandemic has affected their business. So stay with us.
I know it's a disease that attacks the human immune system, the body system, and it's kind of viral, and it's a little bit, I don't know if it's airborne, but I know when you have contact with somebody, you contact it. If you see around, you know how this place looks like. It's always a very busy environment, but today, a lot of people are not out today. I'm sure a lot of people are adhering to the government's instructions that we should stay back at home and all that, but the Nigerian economy is the kind of economy that some people feed from doing daily activities, and if they don't come out daily, they don't get to eat. So I'm just imagining how we're going to survive this time from this kind of ailments and all that. But I'm just sure we're going to get through it because Nigerians know how to get through stuff. So we'll get through it somehow.
I don't believe this is affecting us much. It's just that most of our leaders decided that the school should be closed, some offices should be closed, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm very, very sure that the percentage is very low. Let's even look at 1% within the country. I didn't dispute it, it's real, but the percentage is very low, within the range of 1 to 2%.
So, sir, are you saying that this coronavirus is not real? Because
it's real, but it's not common to a black. It's not common to us in Africa, especially in Nigeria. It's not common to us.
Okay, but it was confirmed today that somebody died.
Of course, that has been natural. Is it because of the virus that people have been dying before? When Ebola came, people died. When HIV came, people died. IPV before now, people have been dying. It's just that the rate of death is high due to some diseases that are available or whatever you can call it.
So what's the advice?
In fact, the virus is something not to talk about. In fact, the way I look at this virus is a weapon of mass destruction. If the health sector, especially the whole world, do not take absolute measure, this virus is ready to wipe half of the population of the world. But the way I can see spiritually, God is in charge. It will soon be wiped off. And we thank God the economy is still moving the way it is, despite the fall in oil price.
Okay, so how do you think this coronavirus has affected Nigerian business?
In fact, it has really crippled so many businesses, especially in the social media. It's really affecting them. And other in education, no schools now have closed down. Nobody is working. So many business, especially the social network businesses, are running down because they are not having much customers as usual. So that is the way I think it's affecting Nigeria.
Affect them. The business has to be affected because business deals with people. And when you cannot come out to interact and transact with people, so whatever you are doing has to be affected.
So what do you think the government can actually do to rectify such issues?
To restrict movement, provide the necessary things that people need so that the people can stay at home pending the suppression of the pandemic. I think government need to provide for people to stay at home.
You know, this coronavirus, as it's popularly called COVID-19, is something that most people are scared of, you know, like what the government said, that don't go to church. That's the one that is actually paining me more. Don't go to the church. You know, in church, we don't sit very close. But you know what is paining me is these buses and the cars, because they are not even controlling it at all. The cars, we sit four at the back, which when you sit, everybody is just touching each other. Then two at the front, and there is no control on that. Then you talk about the buses. Look at all these BB buses. You see 40 seated, 60 standing, everybody pressing each other, sneezing and everything. As in, what is the government doing about these vehicles on this COVID-19 issue? You know, if you're talking about the fact that it's affecting business, it's affecting a lot of businesses. Even the bosses, there are some people, of course, that are not going to work anymore. I have like my sister who sells food in Lagos. She was not able to sell anything today because they are not going to work. So it's affecting both the medium, the large scale, and the small businesses everywhere.
It's a virus that came to this country. It's an exposed disease of virus. It's not found in this country. It was found in a city called China, in a place called Wuhan. Are you getting me? So, you know, it was discovered in diaspora, not in Nigeria here. But what we know is that, you know, it's an exposed disease that moves very, very fast. It affects the business in the sense that, number one, people can't buy and sell, you know, anymore. You know, China particularly, Nigeria, you know, is a dumping ground for China market. I get me. So, you know, we do buying and selling. So people can't go to outside to bring out goods anymore. That is number one factor. You know, number two factor, people cannot, you know, go to the public place anymore. Because we were told that you can contact it through coughing, sneezing, and all that with body flu, body contact, you know, and all that. So not just Nigeria business, it affects Nigeria economy.
Coronavirus is a virus that kills human. Basically, it's inhuman virus. So it immediately gets your system it destroys the DNA and also affect many things and businesses, even the economic. Basically, collapse everything. Like now, I was supposed to leave from around that village to AYA since in the morning, but some time I've been waiting for car. Due to that, it has affected so many business. You're surprised to know that I was supposed to resume my work by 12, but due to the effect, I'm just resuming this now. And also the business and economic, like some banks now, I heard that they are not supposed to be complaining because money, the virus are always transferred from infected people to non-infected from use of money. So that's also.
Okay, and that was Chinwedo Osisi on the streets of Abuja, talking to average Nigerians how this coronavirus outbreak has affected their businesses.
And so many people are saying a lot, and I still see that there's people that are still living in denial. I heard somebody saying stuff like it's not affecting black people, this and that, people die and all of that. I think some people just need to wake up to the reality, because coronavirus is here, and if you're not conscious, how are you going to protect yourself? And if you're spreading, information like this, it doesn't make any sense.
Right, and then I also saw someone who said it's affecting small medium enterprises, and then it's a lot on all of those small businesses. Because if you have someone who wakes up every day to say fry buns or donuts or akara to people on the street, right, and then because of this self-isolation, stay at home, she's not able to do that. She has to stay at home. How does she feed?
I don't know, and honestly, I think government should definitely do more. If they can give out some food, relief materials, and all to some people, especially people that are not, do not have stable sources of income. So it should definitely help. At this point, we're still talking all things coronavirus, and we have some updates, on coronavirus, and let's get to that. We'll be right back.
The world has been brought together to form an alliance to fight deadly pandemic coronavirus, or the COVID-19. It's no longer news that the world is fighting against the deadly virus that is no longer a respecter of age, class, and status, as it has affected the world leaders, entertainers, socialites, the rich and the poor. Over 228,385 cases and over 9,357 deaths recorded in the world from COVID-19. Here on African Patriot Radio, we will be giving you 20 tips in preventing and protecting you from the deadly epidemic. 1. Wash your hands properly with water and antiseptic soap, or use a sanitizer. Use medical masks while in public places. 3. Do not come in physical contact with those infected. 4. Avoid touching your face, eyes, nose, and other sensitive parts of your body with unwashed hands. 5. Stay at home if you're not feeling well. 6. When coughing or sneezing, use a tissue and dispose afterwards. 7. Always clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces like chairs, tables, door knobs, etc. 8. Cover your nose with a handkerchief or tissue when someone around you sneezes. 9. Avoid overloaded commercial vehicles. 10. Avoid populated center. 11. Sweaty body contact or sharing clothes you aren't sure are properly washed. Please avoid them. 12. Drink plenty of hot or warm water. 13. If you have a high fever, cover yourself with a blanket. 14. Avoid drinking too much of ice water. 15. Do lots of exercises. 16. Try to eat ginger or add them to your meal. It generates heat in the body. 17. Avoid sharing objects or accessories like earphones without cleaning or disinfecting them. 18. Avoid eating in unhygienic places or areas. 19. Avoid cold environments where it is possible for the virus to thrive. Finally, the most common thing we touch is our phone. Always make sure that you clean the surfaces of your phones with wipes,
sterilizing agents, or alcohol. These are some helpful ways of preventing coronavirus. If you reside in Nigeria, please call this number for help: 080-097-000010. Please like and share this video. You can also follow us on our Instagram at African Patriot Radio News, and on Facebook at African Patriot Radio, and on Twitter at Patriot Radio 1.
Well, those are definitely health tips that one should ensure they make use of.
It's very, very important, and the truth is there is so many things that you can do to protect yourself from coronavirus. So it's important that you know these things, and that's exactly what this update was about. And as much as we're talking all things coronavirus, we're still talking coronavirus.
And then just yesterday, you'd recall we recorded a death a case in Nigeria,
and it was in Abuja here in Gwagwalada, and that definitely shook Abuja residents. I think at this point people are now aware that yes, there's possibilities that there's infected persons in Abuja. There's been a few confirmed cases and suspected cases and all of that. And at this point we have a Vox Pop, and it's all about the reactions of Nigerians to the first death and the very first death case of coronavirus. Do stay tuned, we'll be right back.
It is no longer news about what this deadly coronavirus is and the dangerous effects it is already ravaging many continents of the world. And it is now in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has just confirmed and recorded the first death from the coronavirus. Achimugu Suleiman, a 67-year-old man, a native of Kogi State, and a former managing director of the petroleum products marketing company PPMC, who died at 2 a.m. on Monday. He was said to have returned from the UK 2 weeks ago. He tested positive and was evacuated to the Specialist Hospital Gwagwalada, FCT, but died while receiving treatment. The virus has spread to 6 states, including the FCT. Nigeria has recorded 5 new cases of the COVID-19, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 36. Do you think the measures put in place by the federal government to contain this spread is enough to contain the virus in the face of obvious challenges? It is in 6 states of Nigeria. What should the states not affected do now to ensure that this virus do not spread into those territories? We're here to find out.
If the government will put in more efforts to help its citizens in providing every antivirus that we needed, because right now people, like when I was coming from work this afternoon, can see that we have scarcity of people on the way, and even in the office it was just few people that came to office today. Why? Because everyone is afraid, because they've had the news this morning that we have recorded about 4 or 5 people have been quarantined in Gwagwalada hospital. So everybody is afraid. So if the government will help to at least facilitate how they can be able to get this antivirus to help the citizens, so that people can go about their normal activities and do their duties without fear.
The testing center is not even there. They have not put in place what people, if anybody felt like having something, a problem, he got there for test. Nothing like that. Why can't people die? People should die because government is they're not serious over it. This warning has been standard far back. Up to now, nothing serious has been made. So I believe we're joking. I think what they should do is what other countries are doing. Preparedness, get things in order, because it is a global problem. You don't feel it cannot come to you. It can come to you anytime, any day. But the problem is that the federal government on their own have not started doing something tangible. So where states start from? I believe federal government serves as the father. So the state should copy from the father. If they should be able to put something in place on federal level, then the state can pick from there. But nevertheless, I know there's some serious-minded state governors that can do something even more than the federal government. So I appeal to them to continue doing something to save the life of Nigerians.
I think we're nowhere yet prepared, sincerely, because I just called a friend. He said Gwagwalada Hospital is filled up, no bed space. So whatever the government is telling you, I think they're not being sincere. But we need to take measures like washing out, sanitizing ourselves, our hands and everything, and shut down the country, close door. I'm serious. Otherwise, it's just the grace of God.
I think the death of this man today is a wake-up call to the federal government to put every measures in place in order to curtail this dangerous virus. The federal government has a lot to do in this regard.
I just overheard that they dropped they're able to make out, provide some funds to treat this particular, this coronavirus thing, but the death that was recorded, I feel so bad. It actually makes people, the other ones, make people to know that this thing is actually real. So everyone is finding it, everyone is making it possible, like, to secure he or herself.
Isolated in the same facility. Now the other ones, I've heard that one is dead. What effect is it going to have on the others?
Yeah, I think fear, like anxieties, they'll be scared that they too shall actually fall the victim. But I just feel that the federal government should just ensure them, like, make them feel that, okay, this whole thing, they will get over it. So that the fear, because it's actually the fear that kills more. Some people have not really gotten this thing, like, some are actually finding it like, no, this is not possible, like, oh, maybe this is not real. Like, some are actually feeling like, are we not Nigeria? Like, no, this is not going to happen. Because you can notice many people are not having the masks, some don't have the sanitizers, some are just feeling lockdown that because they felt this thing is not going to kill.
Coronavirus is real. Some people deceive themselves that nothing like coronavirus, but coronavirus is a real. People can sanitize their hands and keep themselves far from people. Son of Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president, have a coronavirus. So I believe it's real. There is nothing like camouflage. So we should be careful.
Do you think the federal government has put everything in place to actually curb this menace?
That I cannot say about it because last week I was in the Minister of Health. For their public use, there's nothing like a sanitizer or hand wash. So for Minister of Health to not provide all those things, I don't think, for the little one I know, I don't know much about that. So I cannot say much about that.
You think they're serious? Does it show that they're very serious, please?
For what I saw there last week, I don't think they're serious.
We are simply overflogging the issue. The killings in the northeast, in the northwest, here and there, is it not more than this one we're talking about? You had a Lassa fever issue. You had what's that one again? And this one, what is it? Ebola. Every time it comes, everybody keep panicking as if we don't have God. This thing didn't emanate from here. It came from outside. It's not here. This is not here. Why are we panicking? Don't go to church. Don't go to the market. Don't talk to people. Don't shake. What is it?
Wow, that was definitely the views
so
of
many
Nigerians.
Interesting reactions. Some people are not, happy that they cannot talk to people, they can't shake people, they can't go to church. But it's very important for us to maintain social distancing.
Indeed scary. The fact that we already recorded a first death is scary.
And then the fact is, it's not just Nigeria. Another African country, Zimbabwe, also just recorded their first death. A broadcaster called Zururu Makamba recently just died. And as much as we're saying that older people die, he's actually aged 30. And he died from
you see, this virus is funny because we'll be talking about older people are more at risk of death, but now because the person that died yesterday in Nigeria was 67 years old,
so he's
right?
obviously aged and all of that. But
and
this
this
person
one
is 30 in his prime, and he's actually quite a big broadcaster, and he died from coronavirus. That is to say that no matter how young you are, you just need to be careful and make sure you make conscious efforts and take conscious steps to make sure that you do not get infected with this virus.
Well, still talking about coronavirus, and now you'd recall just on Sunday night, the former vice president of the country and also the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party came out to say his son had contracted the virus, and then it raised a lot of eyebrows in the polity, especially on social media. A lot of people were happy with him that he came out, that they saw it as a responsible act on his part, coming out to say, yeah, my son has contracted the virus, while others actually saw it as what if his son has infected some people? Because I was on Twitter yesterday, and a lot of Nigerians were reacting that his son had been to a club, had been to Juma prayer, had gone for a rally. But now, a media advisor to the former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, in a statement released Monday, stated that Atiku's son, who was reported to have tested positive for the novel coronavirus COVID-19, did not visit any club in Abuja. Paul Ibe, in the press statement reacting to the circulating report that the former president's son, Muhammad Atiku Abubakar, visited a club in Abuja, noted the case neither attended the Friday Juma prayers nor any social gathering until his evacuation to Gwagwalada Specialist Hospital on the 20th, where he is being treated and managed. I guess that's a disclaimer on the part of the former vice president coming out to say his son didn't go to all of these places that he has been accused to have visited. And then I also saw a video yesterday making the round. The sister to this Muhammad Atiku Abubakar came out, and then she also, I think in line with what in line with this report, came out to say her brother didn't maybe visit all of those places, but then she's only saying all these hate speeches, how people are dishing out hate on the family, be stopped, because it could have been anyone, and now the brother is in the hospital already and they are trying to manage the situation. So people should just go ahead and say a prayer for him instead of saying he did this, he did that, he has infected a lot of people. But then again, whether or not he visited those places that people said he visited, the club, the attending the Juma prayer and the mosque, or the rally, whether or not he visited those places, even if they are coming out to disclaim it, whether or not he visited those places, he must have come in contact with one or two persons. Although we also saw in the news that his family tested negative, but then what about other people that he has come in touch with?
People he works with, and the truth is, it's not his fault. We've not really been testing in Nigeria. I'm sure if we were, a lot of people would be conscious. Just think about it. He did not know he had coronavirus. Now he knows he has it. Imagine the other people that do not have any idea.
And then another thing I saw on Twitter yesterday was the fact that, okay, we know about Atiku Abubakar's son now, and then his son has gone to Gwagwalada Special Hospital for treatment and management and isolation. What about when the first lady came out to say her daughter had just flown in from the UK and then is also in isolation and all of that? Okay, so how come we're not hearing anything about it? Has she been tested? Did she test negative or positive? We want to know the details.
It's very, very important for us to know the details, because we want to stay informed, so we can be, sometimes when you hear what other people are going through, I think it keeps reminding you that, oh no, I need to do more,
and apart from that, we keep hearing reports that even people in the presidency there, although it's an unconfirmed report, that someone is actually showing symptoms of this virus. And then also, I also saw some unconfirmed reports yesterday saying the members of the Senate and some members of the House of Representatives that had traveled off recent, and then some of them are beginning to show signs, even though they had refused to be checked at the airport.
Now that was very
my
annoying.
point now is, why are we not responsible? Why are we not responsible? This is a virus. It's not as much as we feel some people feel that the elite class, they have money, they can do whatever they want to do, but I feel you should still respect constituted authorities and then rules and regulations, and also whatever measures that have been put in place even by the government of your country and also the World Health Organization. If they're saying you coming into the country before the ban was placed on international flights, if you're just coming in, why don't you go ahead, self-isolate, or allow the people at the airport check you? Why do you have to feel because I'm a member of the Senate, I'm a member of the House of Representatives, I do not need to get tested?
That's definitely very sad. I was very disappointed when I heard this news because you're not just putting yourself at risk, you're putting everybody else.
You have staff members working
Yes,
with you.
you're putting everybody else at risk when you don't do the needful.
You have your families there too.
Exactly. So what's the need to be difficult and to be unnecessarily stubborn because you're in a political position and you have power in some sort of way? I think you should try to be an example to other people.
Well, we're still talking about coronavirus, but another sad one that has come to my notice now is that of the hantavirus. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's beginning to make the rounds on the social media and also on our news space that a new virus, hantavirus, also emanating from China. It was, according to reports, someone yesterday boarded a bus and then he fainted. And when he was tested, he tested positive to the hantavirus. It's strange. I think we need to carry out research to know what this hantavirus is about. Although I think, according to the report, the hantavirus is not as deadly as that of the coronavirus. This one is not, it doesn't even kill humans. It's more of the rodents. But then there's a new virus according to the report. So we're hoping to see developing stories regarding the hantavirus.
Yes, and honestly, I feel like we're dealing with coronavirus. We don't need any other virus coming out, please.
And then why does it have to be China all the time?
All the time. I think China are definitely doing something wrong. Over time, we've seen they've really indulged in eating a lot of things that...
Wild animals.
Yes, a lot of things that are not conventional, you know. They eat cockroaches.
You recall just yesterday, even media personality Toke Makinwa came out to say, when all of this is over, when this whole coronavirus thing has gone, China has to come and apologize to the world. China owes the world an apology because these viruses started from there. Whether or not there's a conspiracy theory behind the virus, whether or not some people stayed in their lab and according to some reports that are saying stayed in their lab and then decided to make up this virus to to reduce the population. I don't know. I don't know if that is true. But then it's a conspiracy theory. But my point is China owes the world an apology, just like Toke Makinwa has said. Yes, this virus started from your place and somehow Wuhan, China there, life has gone back to normalcy. But the rest of the world are still battling it.
Yeah. Especially places like Italy that have recorded so many deaths. And now at this point, I think China just needs to be conscious. They should stop eating things that are just, you know... I feel like you can have a good meal if you don't eat the craziest things. If you don't eat an octopus, if you don't eat a bat, if you don't eat some wild animal or a frog or whatever, I think you can still cook very, very interesting food. So it's very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at this juncture, the Daybreak Africa program, breakfast show, has come to an end. And all day, this is more like a coronavirus episode.
Yes, we'll be talking all things coronavirus, and we just want everybody to be enlightened, everybody out there. Please stop saying things like it's not in Nigeria or African men don't get coronavirus.
And stop spreading this news of telling yourself it's the white man's disease, and then they're just bringing it to Africa to deceive us or anything. They are not. The virus is in Nigeria, is in Africa, and we just have to be careful. We have to be cautious. You have to self-isolate. If you feel you have some of these symptoms of the virus, you have to just self-isolate and then just avoid people. Ensure social distancing, wash your hands regularly, use hand sanitizers, and if you must cough or sneeze and cough in your elbow. And if you have to use public transports or you have to use the rail or whatever it is, make sure you're very careful. Your hands are very paramount. The hygiene for your hands are very paramount. Ensure that you wash your hands regularly and you sanitize them, because the moment you do not do that and you go ahead and put your hands in your eyes, your nose or your mouth, you never can tell. You may have the virus in your hand and then you may have somehow put it into your system.
No, that smart thing you can do is probably go out there and get hand gloves and face masks.
Right.
So in case you get the chance to do that, it will be definitely very, very helpful.
So at this juncture, it's a goodbye from both of us here in the studio. We do hope to come your way tomorrow to bring you another interesting episode of your #1 breakfast show, Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. Have a blessed day ahead. I'm Aisha Salim.
And I am Priscilla Ajishala.